I know you, Pisces, by all the dreams the world has dreamed, by the perfect aloneness of the sea, and the soft blue infinity of the sky. I know you by the moments of solitude in which the pure music of being is heard, those quiet moments of inspiration and revelation that form the soul, allowing you to reach beyond yourself.
I have seen you, Pisces, seeking space in a crowded world, finding an opening in the darkest day that lets the clear light in and denies the obvious, ugly, and unfeeling.
I have heard you, Pisces, reciting your soliloquy, calling on life to be gentle, reading the words of the great poets, and reaching out to make soul people of us all.
Pisces, your word is sensitive, from the Latin sensare, meaning to feel.
If you're the kind of employee who can only function with a whip snapping over your head, and a boss who shouts orders like a drill sergeant, should you work best where everybody is pitched above high C and bordering on hysteria, don't work for a Pisces. He's sensitive, gentle, and speaks softly. Leadership is not his big need, but he handles it well in a quiet atmosphere, one in which everyone under him is self-motivated and conscientious. The Piscean boss won't be glued to his desk. He requires space and motion, but he will often be more creative than the people he hires for that purpose. If a creative, refined atmosphere appeals to you, Pisces is your kind of boss.
If you're looking for an employee, and what you want is a hard-hitting, tough-skinned worker with a strikebreaker personality, if you have no room in your frantic operation for a quietly inspired and very human being, don't hire a Pisces. He's a long way from the cave and the tree, and he doesn't have to be attacked to be effective. Though he may not be easily understood, the Piscean will provide an added strength to your organization that you may not be able to put your finger on. It will transcend facts, figures, and the obvious elements. He or she will have the gift of foresight. They seem to be tuned in on another frequency. And if you have the time to listen to a quiet voice, you may pick up some very privileged information. What makes Pisces dream? Neptune is the planet which rules the non-practical aspects of living. So Pisces seeks fulfillment in the possibilities instead of the realities, and finds escape from a world often too materialistic to be endured.
What makes Pisces sensitive? Neptune is said to be the planet of extrasensory perception. It rules the non-physical forces in the body, creating in the native impressionability, psychic abilities, and the sense of a world which transcends the flesh.
What makes Pisces care? Neptune is a social planet, a higher order of love planet, which causes the Piscean to carry the pain and negatives of all people within him, and develops within the native a responsibility for all that people feel.
What makes Pisces? Feelings. For Neptune rules Pisces, and Neptune is feeling. The sun in Pisces and the moon in Aries manifest in a native of quiet aggressiveness, and one where appearances are only half the picture. The public may see an outwardly striving competitor, but on another level of your existence, there are different things happening, things which deal with a subjective and sensitive world, which you do not make known to others. There is also a tenseness just below the surface, because at times the sensitivity of the fish clashes with the rashness of the ram.
You are one of the larger fish when your Piscean moon is in Taurus, large and sociable. You move slowly and cautiously. Your best luck seems to be in the area of dollars and cents. You thrive in domestic circumstances, and in the professional and business world, you seek not so much power or fame as fulfillment and peace of mind. Friends are an important part of your life, and you are loyal to them and inspire loyalty in return.
If it were possible, you would swim upstream and downstream at the same time when the Pisces moon is in Gemini. You're capable of exceptional mental activity, but the question is, where do you focus it? You're a ready student, apt and quick, but the confidence it requires to apply knowledge is often lacking. You'll never want for variety, but you may find it necessary to settle on one thing sometime. That's when you'll discover that decision is a talent you cultivate by the courage it takes to be able to fail without giving up.
The Piscean moon in Cancer creates an emotional overflow. The sun-moon polarity of water signs increases sensitivity to an incredible degree. You have instant identification with anything and anyone. Also the ability to penetrate and absorb sensation on a level that hardly seems to be of this world. You have paper-thin skin and bruise easily, and anywhere empathy is required is where you belong.
The nervous fish hides behind the lion's facade. Your appearance does not tell your entire story. You may achieve the throne, doubting all the while that you belong there. You may challenge a person or a situation and be convinced there's no possibility of winning. Your biggest fight is defeating your attitude of self-defeat. When this happens, your results catch up to your possibilities.
The phrase, a well-rounded person, is extremely apt when Pisces has the moon in Virgo. All your individual characteristics manage to work in harmony. There is nothing erratic or inconsistent in your makeup. You have a sane approach to life generally and specifically. Your emphasis is on understatement, as opposed to the dramatic and the obvious.
The fish with the Libran moon is ever close to art. You're a Pisces meant to be a free spirit, and anything that touches the soul is part of your odyssey. Any journey you make is bound to be a pleasant, special adventure. The ordinary, the unimaginative, and too much reality bore you. Inspiration is the light you travel by, and is all the light you require.
Pisces with the moon in Scorpio is the result of two water signs meeting each other without achieving complete rapport. The tense fish and the intense scorpion produce a native capable of extreme moods and one who is often suspicious of the sympathetic qualities he finds within him. In spite of the emotional unevenness, you have an essentially practical nature and a belief in the status quo.
You are a fish truly made for the sea if your moon is in Sagittarius. There is a scope to your view of all things, and a mind capable of holding more than one thought at a time. There is an outgoingness to your nature that sometimes seems incompatible with the depths of your intellect. The truth is, you have the capacity to live on several levels at once, without compromising any.
When the Piscean moon is in Capricorn, this fish swims only upstream, and a big stream it is. Quietly, almost unseen, you make your way with care and attention to detail. There is a deceptive strength in this native because he appears so unassuming. But you have a powerful drive to accomplish and be a conspicuous fish in a very large ocean.
You would rather do something for your world than for yourself when the Piscean moon is in Aquarius. Public life appears to be a natural habitat, for ideals are interwoven with your hopes, aims, and activities. Two things never desert you: your powerful imagination and your conviction that men will rise because they must. You are one of those people who never forget how to care.
Pisces with the moon in Pisces gives the native little peace of mind. It's a cold world out there, and it's very warm in here. Besides, out there people get hurt, which could include you. You seek the company of gentle souls, but essentially you go a rather lonely way. You're sometimes too contemplative to be effective. Still, you have your own secret satisfactions that very few are aware of. Seven is the spiritual number, and Pisces is the spiritual sign of the Zodiac. 7 is the number of safety, and the Piscean dream is safety for the world. 7 is the indicator of rest, and Pisces is the sign of respite from the competition in a material world. 7 is the symbol of occult intelligence, and Pisces is ruled by the mystical planet of Neptune. 7 are the wonders of the world, and Pisces has the soul to know them all. 7 are the ages of man and the levels of growth. Pisces is the final evolvement. Seven are the number of heavens, and Pisces will inherit them all.
Because a moonstone is white and soft upon the eyes, because it reflects infinity in gentle terms and pure tones, it is Pisces stone. If you hold a moonstone to the light of the sun, moon, stars, or the light of candles, the light enters and passes through, just as the Piscean allows all things to touch him and pass through. But some moonstones are so cloudy that most of the light is lost. And the fish has this to remind him, that if you let all the feelings in and cannot let them go, they eventually will die within you and be lost.
Color Pisces green. As green as the sea is green when it is still and waiting. As green as things that live and grow in the sea or on land. For Pisces is touched by every living thing. You, Pisces, swimming in the misty eye of Neptune, must remember that nothing which lives can escape the realities which form its existence, and that man is not only soul, but flesh and mind, and one cannot be sacrificed to serve the other.
So Pisces, inherit your 7 heavens. Let everything in like the moonstone. Believe in all the green and living things. Remember, to truly live, one must live in this world and in this time. Escaping is postponement, not living.
In love, Pisces? Yes, and it's making you nervous. There's this concern that maybe you aren't worthy. I mean, this partner of yours seems to have so much. You're wondering why such an exceptional person has a need for someone like you. Nevertheless, you are in love. You just wish it didn't make you so unsure of yourself.
In love with a Pisces man, my girl? Can you live on love and dreams? Are you able to keep the hope of utopia alive while the cold facts of the present tend to freeze your optimism? You are about to enter into another dimension that has little to do with the world most people live in. This man hears another kind of music. It's a lonely music. And if you want to share his world, your first offering must be your faith in him. If you give him this, he can rise and accomplish, and give you the kind of love most women give up hope of ever knowing. If faith is something you lack, be good to both of you, and silently leave the scene.
In love with a Pisces girl, my man? Your ego is about to be bathed in warm water, or better, warm honey. You are now living in the land of the lotus eaters, and you may never get down to earth again. This woman insists on being purely feminine, and that means you are playing Tarzan to her Jane. She will cling to you and compliment you. She'll advertise you as the world's greatest guy, and the more she inflates your image, the more she'll dominate your existence. You won't quite know how it happened, but that helpless, defenseless, dependent ball of fluff will be calling the shots, and you may be fighting for your life and your manhood. Nevertheless, if you can keep the balance of power where it belongs, you'll have a real feminine girl who will never give up on love or dreams.
Out of love, Pisces? It happens to everybody, but naturally you'll blame yourself. Next time, try a Scorpio or a Cancer. And remember, the more faith you have in your worth, the less pain you will have to endure.
Pisces begins with a need to dream and to drift on a sea of imagination. His is another reality, another world, and very few others can be part of it. The difficulties arise from the native's refusal to let his dreaming be interfered with. He is the child who must follow his own voice, go his own way, but he must do so quietly and achieve subtly. This is not a child who is born tough. He is extremely sensitive to all that happens about him, and he has little, if no, immunity to the pain that an insensitive world can cause him. He requires warmth and fluidity. A cold and rigid atmosphere will cause him to withdraw so deep into himself that nothing will ever reach him. If frightened too severely, a part of him may die or go to sleep for a long time. The thing it is difficult for the less sensitive people to understand is that Pisces speaks in the language of the soul, and you can hear him only when you listen with your soul.
In his second season, Pisces begins his journey. He is torn between two choices: to swim up to where the light comes from, or to descend into the lower, darker depths of the sea. To swim up is to face the world partly on its terms. Sometimes the Piscean, highly vulnerable, too impressionable, and as unprotected as an exposed nerve, feels the need to escape the challenge of the world that most people must face in order to survive. He finds it difficult to cope with the external forces, and so he begins to rely solely on the forces within himself and loses contact with the other reality.
In his third season, the Pisces who has matured is prepared to meet the world halfway. He brings to anything he touches or becomes involved with a unique view and an imagination that seems to touch another time and another level of existence. His sensitivity makes others aware of the values of their own feelings, and his ability to focus his inside eye on a problem for extended periods of time makes him an asset in any field of endeavor. He will bring to those he touches a sense of the world's music and poetry, and will inspire many of the lost to rediscover themselves by the simple knowledge that someone truly knows what they feel and cares.
In his last season, the Piscean seeks the clearest, most serene waters he can find, and surrenders himself completely to the other world. He will have served reality in a very special way. Many will have been affected by him, and the sense of him will linger within them long after he has moved along to his real place. He may share his quiet place with someone else, and he will share his love and his wealth of beauty, but always there will be that thing of his own that no one will touch. For Pisces, man and woman alike, to become is to dream, and they have the fulfillment of seeing a life made more significant by the dreams that became reality.
I believe that cosmic religious sense is one of the strongest and noblest motives behind scientific research. Albert Einstein. I hold it for certain that the celestial bodies have in them certain other influences besides heat and light. I have practiced astrology, and you have not. If I do not condemn it, how can you presume to do so? Sir Francis Bacon. It is the stars above us, governs our conditions. William Shakespeare. Ye stars, which are the poetry of heaven, in your bright leaves we would read the fate of men and empires. Lord Byron. Astrology is astronomy brought down to earth and applied to the affairs of man. Ralph Waldo Emerson. We of the fixed stars have rejected the message of the wanderers of the sky. Do they not tell us of things to come as well as of things long past, buried in the racial memory of man? Henry Miller. It is the very error of the moon. She comes more near to earth than she was wont, and makes men mad. from Othello by William Shakespeare. We are born at a given moment, in a given place. And like vintage years of wine, we have the qualities of the year and the season in which we are born. Astrology does not lay claim to anything more. Carl Jung.